Welcome to the show, everybody. Sean Palmer's here. Seth Kamens is well on his way, having a little bit of a technical difficulty here at Seth and Sean Sports. You know our thing, right? We're always on the road, and today is no different. Live from Colombia, Medellin, Colombia. This is our sixth continent that we have hosted. If we get to Antarctica, it would be, I will say, it would be unlikely. I've gone through the whole paperwork to see whether Antarctica is something I want to do, and quite frankly, it's probably not. So, so far we have hosted from, I can't tell you how many countries, but this is our sixth continent on the show. Seth Kamens has joined us. 6 continents for Sean, 1 continent for Seth.
Seth loses.
One continent for you. One.
Yes, I'm aware. And let's be honest, 98% of the episodes have either been in Livingston, Franklin Lakes, within a 40-mile radius.
Now, I will say that I think it's actually more likely for you to host the show on Antarctica than it will be for me to host the show in Antarctica. Because if Carly wants to go, you're going to go. The problem, I mean, you'll go. I'm not sure if she's going to ever want to go, but if she does, you're going to go.
Yes.
So it's much more likely for you to knock off that 7th continent than it will be for me, given what we've done. But yeah, I'm here for 2 weeks. So this week we'll host the show from here. Next week we'll host the show from here, and then the following week I'll be back in Atlanta for the first time since December 1st.
Do you remember what that's like?
No. And I'm okay with that because I see it's under snow. They got like 4 inches of snow. They don't know what they're doing. Things have been canceled, and I'm looking out my window or whatever. I'm looking out where I'm.
You don't have a window. I thought you were in a prison.
No. That's just in the room. It more reminds me, I will tell you flat out, I mentioned this today. It reminds me of summer camp with bunks and a workstation. So you have like a room, which is like your bunk room. And then if you come upstairs, it's just an open floor plan with a kitchen, and then there's a workstation behind. I'll take some pictures and show you guys next week. But it's a nice setup, and it's nice to be with people, even if I don't work with them. Certainly nicer to be with people. Not as nice as being with the Kamens, but other than that,
there's probably some. Is there some nice looking women there? Have you used your Atlanta charm?
My drawl, if you will. My drawl. There is no drawl coming from here. Okay, so moving on to much more important news that I got all 6 games right last week. I should have bet last
No,
week.
you didn't. No, you didn't.
Yes, I did.
You told me the Minnesota was going to win. You were confident. You said the Rams don't have a chance in this game.
Oh, then I got 5 out of 6. Darn it. Yeah. I did get the Bucs wrong. I got the Bucs right because I predicted the Commanders. So okay, 5 out of 6. And the Rams thoroughly annihilated them. And your new starting quarterback for the New York Giants, Sam Darnold. I wanted to ask you this. Would you give up a second? I believe you have 2 third-rounders. Would you give up a second and a third for J.J. McCarthy on a rookie contract?
No, I get it.
You keep your first-round pick.
Yeah, I would probably want I'd probably ask to see if I could do the second round in 26.
Yeah, but that's not going to happen. There's no way. Maybe the third in 26, but you're not going to get the second in 26. Because that's the equivalent. Remember, if you're doing drafts and you're saying the second next year, that's the equivalent of the third this year.
Third round.
So
yeah, I think I would.
I mean, would you do this? Would you trade your first for Minnesota's first and J.J. McCarthy?
No. No, I would probably trade the second and the third. I'd probably make the trade for the second and the third for McCarthy. Yeah, I guess I wasn't as overwhelmingly sold on McCarthy as everyone else was, so it's a little bit harder for me.
Yeah.
I would have done it in a second for Penix. I mean, forgetting what Penix was the last couple of weeks of the year, I was.
And now we lost Seth in total. There. Seth, we're not getting any sound. No sound. No sound. We're not getting any sound from you. No sound from you. None whatsoever. Can you hear me? Not if you can hear me. You can't hear me. Sorry, guys, we're having technical difficulties. Seth just keeps going on and off. Not really sure what the problems are here. Okay, well, he's now back, but he's not back. He's still black. So we'll get to him in a second. I'm not sure if I'm the Giants that I don't take that trade. Let's see if he's back. Nope, not back. Okay. I'm not sure that I don't take that trade. I'm not sure that I don't take trading the Giants' number 3 pick and getting J.J. McCarthy and also getting Minnesota's first-round pick, which would be, looking at Tankathon right now, I believe it's the 24th pick. So you'd be trading the third pick in the draft for the 24th pick and your new starting quarterback. And I think that's something that if Minnesota actually provided, actually gave you that choice, that it's something that you have to think about. You certainly have to think about doing that if you are the Giants. Now, I don't think it will matter. I think they're going to keep J.J. McCarthy, and I think they will let go of Sam Darnold. And I think Sam Darnold may make his way to MetLife. There are a number of quarterback opportunities out there. The Titans will probably, they got the first pick in the draft. They're probably going to take either Ward or Sanders. With Deshaun Watson out, again, with another torn Achilles, interesting as to what guarantees will be shredded based on that. We might see a quarterback there. Then you have the Giants. New England obviously doesn't need one. Neither do the Jaguars. So if we're looking at quarterback teams that need quarterbacks, you're looking at the Titans, the Browns, 1 and 2. The Giants, the Raiders, perhaps the Jets, but they will not be anywhere near Sam Darnold. I don't believe the Saints will. I think the Saints will once again pick up Derek Carr. I think Derek Carr will stay with New Orleans. Seth, are you back?
I'm back. Sorry about that.
Okay. I said that I believe that if the Giants are offered J.J. McCarthy and the 24th pick for the number 3, I believe they should take it. I wholeheartedly believe they should take it.
Yeah, we may have no choice.
I don't think it will be a choice because I don't think J.J. McCarthy's going anywhere.
No,
I don't think they
there's
will
a much better
resign
chance.
him.
Yeah, there's a much better chance you're going to trade Darnold. I agree. Or Darnold's going to go free agent.
Yeah, I don't think Sam Darnold's going to be there. I am interested, and I texted you this a couple of weeks ago. I'm interested to see Brock Purdy. Now, I understand that Brock Purdy had an elbow injury, again, the same elbow that he hurt 2 years ago. Yep. I understand that he had 1 more year on a rookie contract. But if you have – where are you? Oh,
sorry. No, I have to walk – pretty much got the dog barking, and since I have no computer, I'm going to walk the dog while we do it.
If you are the 49ers and you have the ability to pick up Kirk Cousins for cheap, why are you not doing it? You've wanted Kirk Cousins forever.
Yep.
Go get him. Just go get him. You can do it. I think you're going to see Kirk Cousins in a San Francisco uniform.
You're going to let Purdy go?
If you can, okay. So here's your decision. If you're in the Niners, you keep Purdy for 1 year.
Yep.
At $1 million, $2 million, whatever he's earning now, and then you have to deal with either a franchise tag or a $40 million contract.
Correct.
Right? Or you let Purdy go with 1 year to go, and you sign Kirk Cousins to a 3-year, $15 million contract or $20 million contract.
I think part of the question is, do you think Cousins was horrifying in Atlanta?
Yep.
Do you think now that team has running backs, that team has wide receivers, an overrated tight end, but they have offensive talent and they're playing in a dome, which is where he's most conducive.
By the way, ladies and gentlemen, Seth is not in first of all, he froze, but Seth is not interviewing for the Blair Witch Project. He is just working off his phone today. But truth be told, buddy, you just froze. So we can hear you, but we can't see you. It's a very interesting look on your face. Okay.
Okay, can you see me now?
Yeah, now you're back. So
okay.
I think that's your question is Kyle Shanahan has always had, let's say, a little woody, a little stiffy for Kirk Cousins. And now
can't you just use a man crush?
Okay. You said a man crush.
Little woody, a little stiffy? How old are you, 12?
Perhaps I feel dude, I feel like I'm in summer camp here, so maybe I am 12. I don't know. So the fact is, he's always had a man crush on Kirk Cousins. Now he has the ability to go get him at a relatively cheap price. Probably, right? And if you can get him for a relatively cheap price over 3 years, you have to ask yourself, if you are the 49ers, is 3 years of Kirk Cousins at $18 to $20 million better than 3 years of Brock Purdy at $102 million? That's the question.
Well, I guess the other question is, do you think this team is still, after a horrifying year? Now, again, there were, McCaffrey was out most of the year. Debo, Ayuk is out most of the year. Is this team still a Super Bowl threat to you?
Okay, so let's presume it's not a Super Bowl team, even if it's not.
Then I get why you're not signing Purdy.
Right.
But why are you going to sign a third? You're going to sign him as a bridge at $20 million a year?
Yes, that's exactly what you're doing. You're signing him as a bridge because there's no reason, if you don't believe you can win the Super Bowl with Brock Purdy. Brock Purdy, let me put it this way: Brock Purdy is the antithesis of Eli Manning.
He took the team to a Super Bowl that they lost in overtime.
No,
how is that the antithesis of Eli Manning?
Okay. Well, let me explain. Eli Manning could win you a Super Bowl. He could also lose you a Super Bowl, right? We've discussed this. Like 2 throws a game, he could lose you a Super Bowl. But he could also fundamentally win you a Super Bowl. Brock Purdy is not going to win you a Super Bowl, but he's not going to lose you a Super Bowl. He's not that.
Yeah, he's more of a game manager. I get it.
So if you don't believe you can win a Super Bowl in the next 2 to 3 years, Brock Purdy's not a $50 million quarterback on any other team.
I get that.
So
I understand your point. If you're not going to win the Super Bowl with Purdy, why are you going to win? Why are you going to pay $40 million, $50 million for a quarterback?
Instead, not for a quarterback, for that quarterback.
For that quarterback.
If you had Justin Herbert available, you pay $40 to $50 million.
Right. When you can pay $15 million for somebody while you try and find the next quarterback.
And I don't even think he's going to cost $15 million, Seth. I don't think Cousins will cost more than 10.
Okay, well, you said 15 to 20 million.
No, I said 15 over 3. I think I was saying $5 million a year. I mean, he's going to be
paid because he's still getting paid. He's still getting paid by Atlanta. I understand.
He's on the Russell Wilson contract. I mean, why would you pay him?
I get it. I think the question you have to ask yourself, I get where you're going with it, and you've never been a Purdy guy, which I'm fine with. But I think the question you have to ask yourself is, Does San Francisco? Where does San Francisco think they really are right now? Was this year an anomaly? Look, they've been a very good team for 5-6 years. They had
Yep.
horrifying injury issues this year, both sides. So is it a one-time thing where you are, where you should be back in contention next year, or is this the beginning of the decline?
But even if it is a one-time thing, Seth, the one-time
Well,
thing was Brock Purdy not winning them a Super Bowl.
I get that. But wait a second. They went to the Super Bowl with him as a quarterback, correct?
Yep.
He's been a quarterback, what, 3 years? He's been a starting quarterback, 3 years.
3 years.
They lost in the NFC title game his rookie year when he got hurt when he was hurt.
Yep. Hurt his elbow.
They went to the Super Bowl his second year,
and then,
lost in overtime.
And then they had this.
So
yep.
I'm not sure we can unequivocally say he can't win you a Super Bowl because he got you as close as humanly possible to doing so. Now, is he a Burrow or a Herbert? Of course, Herbert, who crapped the bed, but as much as any quarterback ever has in a playoff game on Saturday. But I am a big Herbert guy, so they also have no offensive talent. Is a question. You're not getting that unless they're going to trade for you.
I'm not saying, look, hold on. I'm not saying
no, but Sean, if you're saying that this is a one-off year, that you still can make a run, do you think Cousins, after the year he had, is the quarterback that can get you there? That's your question.
Well, the question is, was Cousins a one-off year too, right?
What would you say?
I said the question then becomes, was it a one-off year for Cousins? Because before he tore his Achilles, we saw Kirk Cousins doing the best thing Kirk Cousins has ever done. I think you froze again.
You there?
Yeah, you keep frozen, but so
no, I should be good for the rest.
My point is, Kirk Cousins had a torn Achilles, right? And before he had the torn Achilles, he was operating at the best we've ever seen him, right?
Correct.
Okay. Look, I am not a huge Aaron Rodgers fan at all.
I've heard rumors.
I was not a huge Aaron Rodgers fan this year, but unequivocally, you can say that the second half of this year was far better than the first.
Yes.
So, and part of that is, holy cow, the guy had a torn Achilles, and he learned how to probably play with his torn Achilles. So, is it possible? I think it's probable, if not likely, that as Cousins rehabs and gets better and further away from that injury, remember, Cousins tore that Achilles, I believe, in week 7 or 8 of last year, while Rodgers tore it in week 1 of last year. So there's a lot more rehab that Rodgers had than Cousins had. Can you say it's an anomaly for Kirk Cousins?
I would feel more comfortable with that if Cousins' struggles were in the beginning of the year, but they weren't.
They don't have to be. His struggles were. I'm basing this on the rehab, right? So if Rodgers rehab starting week 1 and started playing well week 10 of this year, that's 10 more weeks.
Yes, I get where you're going with it. I understand. Look, at $5 million a year, you can take that chance.
Sure, but it's not just $5 million a year, right? Because you're losing Purdy at the same time.
Correct.
I'm just saying, right? It's not apples to apples.
But you are not a Purdy guy.
No, I think that the Purdys of the world have their. It's going to sound awful. Have their place, but they have their place on a dynamic defensive team, which the 49ers are not.
Not at this
Can
point.
you win with a game? They've lost all their depth, right?
Yes.
Clinlaw, DeForest Buckner, like over the Eric Armstead, over the last 3 to 4 years, they've lost all their depth. My point is, when you have a dynamic defense, let's look back at these Super Bowl winning quarterbacks, shall we? Brad Johnson. Oh, yeah, he played with the Tampa Bay defense. Trent Dilfer. Oh, he played with the Baltimore defense. Jim McMahon. He played with the Chicago defense. Show me another, quote, game manager that won without a top 5 to top 3 defense, if not a top 10 defense of all time. They don't exist. And Eli is not a game manager. Eli, to me, and this is both positive and negative, Eli's a Super Bowl talented quarterback. He's just not a Super Bowl talented decision maker. Those are very different. So, yeah, I get what you're saying. Do I think that it's a possibility that Kirk Cousins or even Aaron Rodgers may wind up in San Francisco? Yeah, I do. I think if you look at the numbers and you say, is this guy worth $50 million? Brock Purdy is not worth $50 million. He's just not.
No, the number of quarterbacks that are worth $50 million, for the most part, you can put on one hand. Lamar, Mahomes, Allen, Burrow.
That's it.
Maybe Herbert. Maybe
That's
Hurts.
That's it. Four.
So, no, he's not at that level. And is he at the second level, which is Herbert, Hurts?
No.
No, he's at the level below that.
He's at the Aaron Rodgers and Kirk Cousins level. So
I get it. Look, I get where you're going with it. I just the problem, and I understand if you think that Cousins last year was just a pure. I guess that my feeling is this, and again, this is kind of probably a little bit outside of the circle, but if your feeling is okay, this whole year, for all intents and purposes, was a recovery year for Cousins.
Yep.
Then the Falcons signing him then drafting Penix was the absolute stupidest move that you've ever seen.
That's nothing new. You've heard that from day one from me.
Yeah.
That's nothing. That's not anything new that I haven't said on this show.
Okay.
Or any Atlanta fan has said, by the way. Every Atlanta fan has said that. They wasted a first round pick. Or they wasted $75 million in cap room, A or B. Okay. We spent 26 minutes on Brock Purdy. And we're not even in the postseason yet. We're not even in the off season yet. Chiefs and Texans, we were both very surprised by the Texans, right?
You didn't pick that game either. How did you come up with 6-0?
Wait, I definitely picked that the Chiefs. Oh no, I did not pick that the Texans would win.
Yeah, what are you talking about?
They went 4-2. Darn it. Okay.
Yeah, no. We picked Baltimore, which you would take. I mean, you'd have to be crazy not to.
Right. I said watch out for an upset with the Bills, but that didn't materialize.
Yeah, my upset pick was Green Bay, now realizing 6 of their offensive players were going to get hurt in the first 10 minutes.
I told you they would. I told you that.
Yeah, I didn't claim to go 6-0.
But I did pick the Commanders. All right. So Chiefs and Texans in Arrowhead. Can't see the Texans winning this game.
Nope, I can't either.
And then 6:30 Saturday, and I will tell you again, Saturday?
Sunday.
6:30 Sunday. After I finish paragliding here there will be some adventure. I will watch my first football game in, I think, 3 weeks and sit down and watch that game because that is going to be an awesome game.
That is the Super Bowl winner to me.
And I will
wins the Super Bowl.
I'll pick the Ravens to win it.
I'm going to go with the Bills.
You know I have had no love for this Bills team. None.
I am aware of this fact.
I have lots of love for Josh Allen and always will. That is
I
my
know
man.
you do.
But I just don't see where they have the help, especially against the Ravens. Okay, moving on to the Commanders versus the Lions. What do you think?
I think the Lions win, but this is interesting because of all of the injuries that the Lions have had on the defensive end. I can see Washington putting up 30 on them. I can just see Detroit putting 40 up on Washington.
I would agree. I think Detroit wins. I just think it's going to be an offensive showcase, right? And then we have – I know where you're going with this. You're definitely picking the Rams over the Eagles. I know this.
I'm not. But I am kicking myself for not taking the Rams over the Vikings. That I should have known.
So you're not taking the Rams over the Eagles?
I am taking – at home, I will take the Eagles.
Okay. The Rams played in a great game. I mean, they played as perfect a game as they could play.
Out of what you heard, since you didn't see it.
Well, I listened to some of it, so I did not.
They played as good a first half as humanly possible.
Okay.
And I'm going to say that Jared Verse looks like Michael Buck.
Did they lose anybody to injury?
No. But they're a dangerous matchup for Philly.
Yeah.
But I don't think they can beat Philly in Philly.
Okay.
I just don't.
Okay, and then I'll go with you as well. So we're going to have 1 versus 2 in the NFC. For me, we're going to have 1 versus 3, and for you, we're going to have 1 versus 2.
Yep.
Okay. All right. I mean, look, for not having watched any of it, I'm not sure how exciting any of these games were. Or, I mean, it looks like I think the Commanders game, I saw Zane Gonzalez's field goal that doinked for the winner.
Yeah, Washington-Tampa was good. The game's pretty much stunk.
Yeah.
Baltimore was terrible. Buffalo wasn't close. I didn't watch most of it, but it was never close. The Chargers game was horrendous. The Redskin game was decent.
You just called them the Redskin.
Sorry, the Commander game was good. It was decent. You missed nothing football-wise this weekend. Nothing. But you did miss the 2 college games, and those were great.
Well, so I once again I have been proven wrong and underestimated Notre Dame, who is in the finals, much to my chagrin. Quinn Evers is not coming to Syracuse, as he declared to go to the NFL draft today. But I will once again rail against Notre Dame and say that Ohio State is going to obliterate it.
You will rail against what?
Notre Dame. I think Ohio State's going to obliterate them.
I don't think they obliterate them. I think they win by about 10-14. Ohio State, look, Texas was 1 play away from tying that game. And Ohio State looked, Jeremiah Smith, who would have been probably the number 1 pick in the draft this year, even as a freshman, had 1 catch for 3 yards. It was a very strange game. The Penn State game, it was well played. It was pretty well played. Ohio State, I don't know if you know, Texas had the ball on the 1, down 7 with 3 minutes to go, and ran a sweep on 2nd down. They lost 6 yards, and then on 4th and goal from the 7, Ewers got hit by his old college roommate, Jack Sawyer, who brought it back 90 yards for a touchdown.
Oh.
Now, to me, it would have been a lot cooler if his name was Jake Sawyer. That aside.
All right, so you're once again picking Ohio State by 14,
Yeah.
10-14.
Yeah. Yep.
Was this playoff a success?
Yes.
Okay.
because the people were interested in the games.
Well,
Now, it wasn't
not the
perfect.
first round.
It wasn't perfect. I agree. They have to reseed. You can't go by the top four conference winners.
Well, reseeding means after the first round, so you can.
No, I don't think they should have seeded. I don't. I believe you should have everyone. The top five the conference champions need to get in. I think they should host a game. I don't think they need to have buys.
So the incentive is to host a game, not to have a bye.
Yeah.
Right.
Arizona State, who I don't know, were you here for the Arizona State Texas game, or were you away for that?
I was here. I was there for the here, there, everywhere. I was in the East Coast. Yeah.
So Arizona State outplayed Texas 55 of the 60 minutes of that game, forgetting the overtime. Now, but were they a top four team? Should they have been a top four seed? No. Boise looked a little bit outclassed against Penn State. Did they deserve to be there? Yes. Were they outclassed? Or should they have been a 3 seed? No. I told you I had no issue with Indiana, SMU. I didn't. Did they play well? No, they stunk. But Alabama lost to Michigan. South Carolina lost their bowl game. And as we said, 3 losses should not get, unless you are defaulted in by a conference championship. 3 losses, I don't want to hear a complaint.
Yeah, and I don't have any problem with Indiana in the playoff because look who they lost to.
Yeah.
I mean, if nothing else, isn't it proven correct, right? Their 2 losses were to who, Seth?
Indiana lost to Notre Dame and to Ohio State. Yeah.
Right. So, I mean, if nothing else, it proves that they should have been there rather than they should. You want to talk about strength of schedule? That is the strength of schedule.
Yeah.
Right there.
SMU played lousy against Penn State. And they played pretty badly against Clemson and still lost in overtime.
Yep. Okay. So we teased this a little bit last week, and we'll go into it now, right? As Seth goes back to black. That was a good song. We'll see when he comes back on, but that was a good song, Back to Black by AC/DC, I believe. I don't know where he went. Nope, there he is. He's back. All right. So we teased this last week. We have not explored the phenomenon that is Rickey. We have just not, right? And for those that don't know who Rickey is, you probably shouldn't be listening to this podcast because now we can't hear you at all. Now we can't hear you. So on top of that, now we can't hear something. Oh, okay. Nope, nothing. 0. You went back off mute, but can't hear you. All right. Hopefully he will. All right, no technical difficulties. So the phenomenon that is Rickey Henderson. So let me throw out some numbers to you for Rickey, right? And the reason we're doing this is Rickey Henderson died on December 20th of last year. And we didn't host a show for a couple of weeks between Christmas and New Year's and then me traveling. But here we are. So let me throw out some numbers. So most stolen bases in Major League Baseball history. Okay? So let me throw out some numbers. So Seth is still black. Hopefully he will come on. So the list of stolen Major League Baseball stolen. Oh, here he's back. Okay, can we hear you now?
Can you hear me? Okay,
yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. All right.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'm just throwing out some Rickey numbers. Rickey Henderson, 1,406 steals for his career. Now, this is before the new rules about stolen bases, by the way. You can throw over as many times as you want, and Rickey didn't care. Come on, bring him on. 1,406 stolen bases. The next, so that's number 1. Number 2 is Lou Brock.
892?
No, that's Ty Cobb.
930.
938. 938. So it is almost a third, almost 30% more than number 2. Okay. Now, I'm going to bring up this because it's necessary to bring up, but I'm looking for the modern, the modern leader, current leader for stolen bases, and I got to tell you, I think it's like Starling Marte, but I mean,
That's who I would guess.
right? I mean, current leader stolen bases, MLB. Starling Marte with 3. Yeah, Starling Marte is number 1. By the way, I give myself a lot of props for that.
No, I would have gotten that one also, actually. 354.
With 354. So remember, Rickey has 1,406. Okay, now let's dive a little bit more into Mr. Rickey, right? Because why should we not dive into Mr. Rickey?
Because Rickey likes being and Rickey likes talking about Rickey.
Okay,
Rickey likes to talk about Rickey.
So Rickey Henderson, okay, again, single season has the record. What's the record, Seth?
130.
Okay, it's the modern record because in 1887, Hugh Nicole had 138. But modern record,
I failed.
130. By the way, he attempted 172 times. Okay, last year. So the next best is Lou Brock at 118. Okay? And I believe I'm going down the single seasons here.
It's Vince Coleman, isn't it? Yeah.
Well, no, Coleman had 108, Coleman had 110. I'm more curious as to the current. So the most steals by a current player in one season. Any idea?
Oh God, is it De La Cruz?
No. It's a power hitter, believe it or not.
It's not Ohtani, is it? At
No.
58, it can't be.
No.
A power hitter? Trout?
He won the MVP.
Is it Trout?
No, it is Ronald Acuna.
That makes sense. He had 47.
76, and then tore his ACL twice. De La Cruz has 67. So let's play the game that De La Cruz, who is 22 years old, had 67. So 67 in 83 attempts. So right now he has 102 steals. He's 22 years old. Okay?
So if he averages 67 a year for the next 20 years, he still doesn't break the record.
Right. That's what I was getting at. You hit it right on the head. It is one of those records that is so far out of reach. Like we say all the time that records are made to be broken. Even in today's modern baseball, that record, no. Like that record and Cy Young's record are the two records that the game has just changed too much.
Yes.
That those records will never be broken. Ever. Wait, I'm not done yet, though, with extolling the virtues of Rickey.
Please keep talking about Rickey.
Rickey had a leadoff hitter. As a leadoff hitter, he hit a home run 82 times. Leadoff home runs. His stats as a leadoff hitter. His stats on a leadoff hitter are the following. He had 84 leadoff home runs. He had 9 in 1 year. Okay? As a leadoff hitter. He started He started 2,890 games. He led off 2,875. So he led off most of his career, right? I mean,
Right.
for all intents and purposes. Okay? Okay. Every time he led off, what was the stat? Hold on. Oh, he's just one of 63 players with an on-base percentage over 400. Only 3 players reach base more times: Pete Rose, Barry Bonds, and Ty Cobb. Okay. I mean, that's all right. Those are pretty good people to be in company with, right?
Yeah, that's
I
pretty
mean,
solid.
so we talk about WAR as a stat, okay? And we don't say that it's the overwhelming only stat. Rickey Henderson's WAR was 111.1.
Ooh.
So let's put that in some perspective here. As baseball reference, by the way, his closest comparison is one of my favorite players. Who's his
Tim Raines.
closest?
Tim Raines?
Of course, right? So he is on the, for WAR. Hold on a second. I had this up a second ago. Just give me a second.
I just pulled it. He is number 19 all time.
Right.
In between Lou Gehrig and Mel Ott.
Well, that's what I was going to say. Who's he between, right? How many of those guys in that stratosphere, right? So his career, he's 14th, right? So how many of those people are modern people? Okay,
So
Barry Bonds is
Bonds
number 1, right?
in
Willie
modern.
Mays is number 3. Hank Aaron is number 5. Stan Musial is number 9. Number 8.
I'm looking
Ted
at something very different than we do.
What's that?
I was looking at something. I'm looking at numbers different than you are. I have
Baseball
Bonds.
reference career leaders WAR for position players only.
Oh, okay. I don't have for position players only.
Okay. So I got Barry Bonds number 1, Willie Mays number 3, Aaron 4, Musial 8, Williams 11, A-Rod 12, and then there's Rickey. And below Rickey is Mickey Mantle, Frank Robinson, who we both agree is probably the most underrated player ever, Mike Schmidt, Albert Pujols, Cal Ripken Jr. at 95.9.
That amazes me.
I think most of that got on defense, if I had to guess. And then Adrian Beltre at 93.5, and he got a lot, and Clemente. So it brings up the question, which then I'm looking at, is this only offensive WAR? No, this is all WAR. I wonder how much. I'm looking at defensive WAR for Ripken. So Ripken got 35.7 of his WAR on defense. And he led the league like 6 times when he was not a great defensive player. So
No, he wasn't. I don't really get that, but okay.
So looking at what we have right now, Rickey was the greatest living player, right? That was not named Barry Bonds and not named A-Rod, right?
And the greatest non-pitcher, the greatest non-steroid non-pitcher.
Correct.
Probably the best way to put it.
Okay. Now, here's the thing, and this is a hot take, and I get it. I think Rickey was on something at the end. Because there's only so long that your body can hold up. I think the same thing of Nolan Ryan, by the way. I think both of them. I think they both played about 25 years. How many of these guys played 25 years? Like, that's it. By the way, the same day that Rickey stole the base to beat Brock, Nolan Ryan pitched
his 7th no-hitter. Yep.
I have the national newspaper from that day.
That's great.
Yeah. Yeah, I made my dad go out and get it because I wanted it that day. So I still have it. It's too bad Rickey's dead. Should have gotten him to sign it. That would have been awesome. But anyway, who is the greatest living player right now? that's not named Barry Bonds. That's who's the greatest living clean player? Who is it?
I guess Mike Schmidt. But, I mean, I'll be honest, I would probably take Mike Trout over Mike Schmidt.
Would you take Pujols over both of them?
I would take Trout over Pujols. Pujols ranks higher by position. I believe I would rather have Trout for his career.
Well, because you want a center fielder that can play Gold Glove, right?
Yes.
But Mike Schmidt was the best defensive third baseman outside of Brooks Robinson.
Correct, but he was not the hitter. Like, he was a power hitter. The power hitter, they were comparable. But he did not. And again, you're lowering the value of average. He was a 260.
Agreed. I mean, Mike Schmidt batted 267 for his career.
Yeah, he was a 260 hitter. I find it hard to imagine that and Schmidt won what? One MVP?
He won 2 MVPs, back-to-backs.
80 and 81?
Yeah. No, he won 3 MVPs. He won in 8. No, that can't be right. Hold on a second. It says here he won it in 86.
He won it in 86?
Yeah, 81, 80, 81, and 86. Yep, 80, 81, and 86. Right, because Carter, Strawberry, and Hernandez split the vote.
I'll be honest, I remember nothing about him in 86.
So, by the way, here is your top 10 in 1986 for MVP voting. Schmidt had 287 points. Okay, he had 15 first-place votes. Glenn Davis, number 2. Gary Carter, 3. Hernandez, 4. Parker, 5. Tim Raines, 6.
Okay.
Hold on. And then we have Kevin Bass, Von Hayes, and Tony Gwynn. And then Mike Scott, number 7, because pitchers don't win MVPs.
Yeah. I'm hosting for 5 minutes.
What's that?
Sorry, Carly just walked in.
Okay, so let's do our final 5 now, because I got to jump to. So
then we'll do baseball. We'll do Baseball Hall of Fame next week.
Yeah, that works for me. Baseball Hall of Fame next week. Okay. I am reminded at this time why Pete Rose is not in the Hall of Fame. Okay? Every year it comes up. Every year there's always a plus and a minus as to why that man should be in the Hall of Fame. And the fact that he has passed away, to me, is no different. Okay? I was once a Pete Rose apologist. I am no longer a Pete Rose apologist. He lied. And anybody that knows me, that is the first cardinal sin of me. You don't get past that. You don't lie. And he lied to his benefit. He only admitted it when it benefited him. He had every opportunity to come clean, and he chose not to do it. And just because he passed away, and I'm sorry he did, does not excuse what he did. And he will go down along with Shoeless Joe Jackson, in my opinion, as never being in the Hall of Fame. And doesn't.
About 7-8 years ago, they showed a player like this young guy from Nebraska, who had cancer, and he was making a run during the Nebraska spring game, and became I think it was Jack Hoffman, and he became the big person in pediatric brain cancer fundraising, and he died yesterday, or died today actually, after like a 15-year run at this. He made it to 20, which he was never supposed to make it anywhere close to. Yeah, if those of you who've seen the video, you know what I'm talking about. So I'm just kind of reading about it now. His dad launched a venture that raised more than $14 million for pediatric brain cancer research. So deepest condolences to his family. Yeah. What more can you really say?
So one more thing, and before we go, somebody yesterday asked me why I podcast about sports. And she said, I don't watch sports. I play sports. I don't watch sports. I don't understand why people are interested in sports. And meanwhile, she's buying Bad Bunny tickets on the internet. And I asked her, quite frankly, I said, why do you listen to Bad Bunny? Why do you listen to music at all? And she goes, well, music is my escape from everything else. And I just basically threw it right back at her. I go, that's a talent, right? That's something you enjoy. It's a talent that somebody has. It's the same as a talent that somebody runs a 4.40. You may not see it every day, you may not hear it, but sports, as usual, and especially in light of what Seth just said, it is an escape from life, and that's all it should ever be. So, with that in mind, we will escape next week. We'll talk to you guys next week where we'll run through our Baseball Hall of Fame. And we will not preview the Super Bowl because we have 2 weeks to do that. So we will not do it next week.
Well, we wouldn't preview the Super Bowl anyway because we still have conference title games to go.
Darn it. I'm 1 week
Where
behind.
the hell is your head?
In Columbia. Okay, with that, we'll talk next week. Have a good one, everybody. See ya.